Hello everyone, welcome to Dr. Rajkumar Academy. Welcome to the session on 1910-2022. So, if we see the first article, step up global efforts to defeat crime, says Modi. See guys, as I was trying to say, from 1947, like India's independence, till 1990, the biggest threat with respect to the world was they all used to say states go to war, so we should try to protect ourselves from other states. Whereas after 1990s, globalization increased, because of which people's movement has increased, right? Along with people's movements, drugs, animals, poaching, weapons, terrorists, these movement has also increased. And today, these problems are purely global problems, and every country is trying to resolve it locally. So, India has its own strategy, Pakistan has its own strategy, but when it comes to these transnational crimes, there is a need for collective security where all the countries must come together and they must try to fight against these crimes. So world must try to come up with certain strategies so that we are able to fight against transnational actors. Is what is transnational actors? In the international level, if you say there are international organizations, there are states. Third, there will be transnational actors. And who are these transnational actors? They do not belong to any one particular community. They do not belong to any one particular community. They are called as what? Transnational actors. That is, see guys, terrorists are not only from Pakistan. Terrorists are from different parts of the world. Similarly, criminals are not only from one part, they would have linkages with different states. And if you take a company like Apple, their manufacturing happens in different parts of the world. So all these try to show us that the world is not separated, but they are interconnected. And in this interconnected world, global efforts are important. Guys, you write internal security, internal security, organized crime, organized crime. Below that, you write the world assumes, the world assumes that post 1990, post 1990, globalization has increased. Globalization has increased, and this has increased, and this has increased organized crime, organized crime, terrorism, drug trafficking, drug trafficking, etc. Full stop. With with cyber security, with cyber security issues, with cyber security issues, most of the threats, most of the threats have become transnational. Full stop. It is very difficult. It is very difficult for us to counter these groups, to counter these groups individually. Individually. So every country in the world, every country in the world must come together, must come together and develop strategies for early detection and warning system, protecting transportation services, service communication, etc. Guys, Jayalalitha's death not required. Six pilgrims and a pilot in Kedarnath not required. Examining a case for Congress family reunion not required. The dire need to talk about 1962. See, here they are trying to say every failure is a great teacher and we need to learn from our mistakes. In this, it is trying to argue that we always try to celebrate, like, Indo-Pakistan war or Bangladesh independence war, but we need to know what happened when it comes to 1962 war. One main problem with 1962 war was Nehru felt that we need not worry about China because China will not be a threat. So he did not make the army prepare for the war. Second, Chinese air force was not strong enough, but India, on the other hand, did not use our air force much. Third, he said politics interfered into military activities rather than allowing military to take action by itself. Next, they also argue that there are many people who have really performed well, and in that, especially some young pilots or pilots who drew helicopters, took the people there, brought the wounded one. So there were so many such activities done by them in that 1 month period. So we should remember them and we should try to make research on these issues, is what the article tries to say. Hindus are not kafirs, Muslims are not jihadis. BJP candidate was removed from a seat yesterday. So not so important, guys. With pandemic blues gone, people are painting the town red. Is basically now, due to festives and all, the jobs are increasing and people are having some money. That's what it is trying to say. Yeah. Yes, in one of the article I had told you, only in India, judges appoint their brothers as judges because anywhere in the world it is others who do it. And if there is any corruption and politics within the judges, that is not questioned and no one is ready to question it, mainly because if the executive does any action, then the judiciary is going to say that it is against the basic, like part of the constitution, and how are you able to modify them? This is the biggest problem they have. So, not so important, don't worry. Court not cannot issue direction to frame universal civil code. See guys, according to article 44 in DPSP, we have uniform civil code. I'm sorry guys. The actual meaning of uniform civil code is, because in India we have different religions, and in different religions marriage is different, marriage laws are different, property inheritance laws are different, correct, divorce is different. Now if everyone use same code in culture, we call it uniform civil code, but it will be against fundamental rights, because because fundamental rights will be seen superior to DPSP, because the religious rights of the people must be given most important predominance. Nothing much. There they're just trying to see whether it can be implemented or not. Is Bilkis Bano case where, like the rapists were released, and they're actually asking what can be done. AK-203 assault rifle production likely to begin by end of the year. India and Russia together, they are planning to establish a industry to manufacture AK-203, which is going to start sooner, is what Russia is trying to tell. And guys, there is a defense expo going on in Gandhinagar, and there we have called Africa and Indian Ocean realm countries. We are showing them our equipments, and India says that in a hierarchical world, like we have to be below someone, but when it comes to equality, there will be every country, every sovereign country to be equal, and for every sovereign country to be equal, then there must be balance of power. How to make balance of power? It is to ensure that every country has its own military equipments, right? I want you to write Defense Expo, Defense Expo hyphen. It is held at Gandhinagar. It is held at Gandhinagar, where African countries, African countries under India Africa, India Africa defense dialogue, defense dialogue, comma, Indian Ocean realm, Indian Ocean realm, REALM, and others were invited, and others were invited. Next point, India aims to India aims to sell at least $25 billion, at least $25 billion by 2025. Next point, this would make India's defense sector India's defense sector to be powerful, to be powerful, and at the same time, other countries will try to produce defense equipments in India. Is basically when we know that everyone is trying to purchase from us, right? Others will think it is better to go to India and produce because India has the market. Supreme Court asked government to develop modules on drug abuse that can render as order. So basically, the court is asking government please make certain directives because drugs were very important during COVID and people actually made lot of money out of it without actually helping the core people that needs to be taken care is what it is trying to argue, guys. Nothing much. Yeah. And then, guys, to reduce climate change effect, India wanted to go for international solar alliance, but one of the major problem was money. So the countries have proposed a solar payment guarantee fund and a solar insurance fund, and this will help different countries across the world to donate money to ensure that solar energy is being developed in African countries. And guys, under the mission, they want approximately $1 trillion to complete ISA. So for this, both public, private, everyone has to invest. So you write below, International Solar Alliance, International Solar Alliance, hyphen, its headquarters is in Gurugram. Next, it was proposed by India. It was proposed by India to reduce dependency on non-renewable energy, non-renewable energy. But it requires high cost. It requires high cost of approximately $1 trillion, of approximately $1 trillion, and International Solar Alliance aim for crowd sourcing crowdsourcing through a solar payment guarantee fund a solar payment guarantee fund, and solar insurance fund. Yeah. Because US has given around 307 antique items which were smuggled. Giraffes brought to India by British may belong to endangered species. These are all old news, yes. But in this, the Alipur, where actually they brought, is important. Alipur Zoological Garden in Kolkata. Just remember that. Russia Ukraine continues, guys. Park likely to be taken off. Once it is happens, I'll explain you FATF. China is trying to take UK working to stop China poaching. These were not required. Yes, government said to seek waiver in norm for IDBI sale. See, almost every public shareholding company they want to give up and raise money, and that money will be used for many other purposes, guys. So that they are talking about not so important. Air India, merchant bankers, OVL. Yeah. This is important. Remember, in Russia, on the eastern side, above Japan, there is an island called as Sakhalin, and India has stake in it. Approximately 20% stake is there, and India is planning to regain it. And guys, ONGC, when it works within the country, it is called ONGC. When it works outside the country, it is called as OVL. Fine. So, guys, these are some of the things that are important and that we had to look at. Thank you, guys. These were the issues.